Hello everyone, welcome to another Tech Talk of Revuto. I'm Zvonimir Mlinarić. You have already seen me in one of the Tech Talks, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit more about blockchain Trilemma. So what is actually blockchain Trilemma and why is it a big deal? So blockchain Trilemma basically states that when developing blockchain, you have to choose 2 out of 3 terms we are going to explain next. I would want to say that this is not like a law, this is not a rule by the nature of the blockchain, it's just an idea. And this idea was developed by Vitalik Buterin, which is one of the best experts in blockchain and the founder of Ethereum blockchain. So we have to define the terms, and then we are going to talk about how can and if it can be solved. So the first term in blockchain Trilemma is security. Security represents the ability of blockchain to resist the attacks and malicious attempts to take it down. Decentralization is basically the opposite of decentralization, which means that many different entities or people, companies, nodes or whatever have to make consensus about everything that is happening on the blockchain. So if you make a transaction, then multiple entities have to confirm this transaction and agree that it is valid. If only 1 or 2 or 5 entities do this, then we cannot talk about really decentralized blockchain. And the last term, but not the least, is scalability, which is the ability of the blockchain to onboard many users, many transactions, much of information, and so on. So if only several people can use your blockchain, then we can talk about the private blockchain and not like scalable blockchain for the entire, let's say, world's infrastructure. So you may already ask yourself, why do we have to choose 2 of 3? Do we really have to choose 2? Why not everything can be fulfilled? Why not only 1? Well, you know the famous meme which says you have to balance between work, social life and sleep, or good grades, sleep and social life, and you have to choose 2 of these 3. We know that the truth is always in the middle, so you do not have to choose 2 of these completely and completely ignore the third one. What we know by our experience in real life and with this meme trilemma is that you have to make some balance somewhere on this axis of this triangle. So if we have to choose 2 of these 3, which one should we ignore? That's not an easy question. It depends on which type of blockchain and you want to develop and what is the purpose of your blockchain. So some blockchains really do not care that much about decentralization. They want to be secure and scalable, and decentralization is not as important to them. We can see something like this in the real world with banks. So banks can be really secure because you cannot easily break into banks. It's not impossible, but it's really hard. And banks are scalable because they can onboard millions of users in these bank systems. But banks sacrifice decentralization. So only one entity, like the executives of the bank or one person or whoever, controls your assets. So for any reason, whether it is some crisis, war, criminal activities, fraud, or anything, a bank can just freeze your money and you can do nothing about it because you have actually authorized them to have control over your money or assets. So yeah, that's one example from the real world. On the other hand, if you want to sacrifice scalability, you can have really secure and decentralized blockchain. But not many users will be able to use it, or at least not use it really fast. So Bitcoin is kind of an example of this kind of blockchain. So it is really decentralized, it is really a secure blockchain, but it has some scalability problems, and that is the reason why, among the others, new blockchains arrived after Bitcoin, and you cannot really use Bitcoin layer 1 as like world infrastructure for financial transactions. So that's one example. And the third example is if you want to sacrifice security, then you can have like really decentralized blockchain, and it can be really scalable, but maybe, or it's not like a rule, but maybe then it will have some security problems, whether it's in code, whether it's in bad design, or something was hacked in this design, and it can be potential vector for attack and for taking down that blockchain. So the answer is not as easy as you can see. So it depends on what you want to apply your blockchain to. If you want to have like really robust blockchain for some very specific use, then maybe security and decentralization may be better option for you. But if you want to build millions of transactions and like build a financial system on any blockchain, then scalability might be a problem in this case. If you ask me, it's only my opinion, security should be the most important feature of this blockchain trilemma. And that's why some people do not want to put it this way, like blockchain trilemma, where each side or apex in this triangle is represented by one term in blockchain trilemma, but rather a pyramid where the bottom of the pyramid is security, and then everything is built on top of security. So if you do not have secure blockchain, then scalability and decentralization is not as important. And I agree with this view, because blockchains are mostly about financial systems, about transferring information, transfer of money, transfer of various assets, digital identities, and so on. And if you really want to use it like globally or in a whole system, then it has to be secure, because that's the main feature. You can have a great system, but if it's only a question of time when someone will take it down, then it's not a good design for such a system. So yes, security should be the first, and then you have to make some trade-off between decentralization and scalability. So why is actually so hard to like achieve both great scalability and great decentralization? Because decentralization means that you have multiple entities, as I said, which make consensus about whether some transaction is valid or some transfer of information is valid or not. And if you have like thousands of or millions of these entities, then it takes some time before they reach a consensus. Okay, so if you make a transaction, then it takes a lot of time before this transaction is really like spread out to all these nodes and they agree that it is a valid transaction, or at least agree with majority of these nodes agree on that. So that's why you can't really have like completely scalable system with like complete decentralization. So you have to make some trade-off. So what is the best way? It does not have to be, in my opinion, it does not have to be like either of these. It can be somewhere in the middle, so you can have decentralization, which makes really hard to like make frauds and make illegal transactions on this blockchain in a way that someone will take the majority of these nodes. Because if you have 1,000 nodes or 10,000 nodes, then someone really needs to take a majority of these to take down your blockchain. And on the other hand, you can have some scalability. And I think that Cardano is doing pretty well. Is doing pretty well in this, and that's one of the reasons that Revuto actually chose Cardano, because Cardano relies on a peer-reviewed blockchain. So they first show in theory that something is possible, and they show how to do it actually, and it's peer-reviewed, and then they transfer it to the code. So they actually then build the blockchain. And Cardano blockchain is like inherently more secure and more decentralized by its parameters than some other blockchains. And what people have been complaining about Cardano in the last few years is scalability, because you have some blockchains that are really, fast and efficient in transferring information, and Cardano wasn't at some point, but recently Cardano have been increasing the block size, making some improvements, so we will be seeing pipelining coming soon, and many features that will really improve scalability. Also Hydra upgrade, and I think that you will never achieve complete scalability, because you will probably have to sacrifice portions of these, but you can have really secure and decentralized blockchain with a decent amount of scalability, and especially if you bring in the layer 2 and so on. So yeah, that's pretty much. I would like to see your opinion. What do you think about blockchain Trilemma? Do we actually have to sacrifice one of these, or we can make all three of these terms work together? So please let me know in the comments, and of course, as always, if you have any questions, reach out to us. We are here for you. Thank you.
If you like Revuto and think our videos are cool and informative, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and never miss out on any of our new videos. Thank you.